All right. I won't take too much of your time. Again, my name is Sam Chapman. I was raised by like most of the old activists here, so that's one of the main reasons I'm here. You know who you are. Been cracking old jokes for a long time. No. So again, who am I? My name is Sam. I've been involved with drug policy reform, but I think I like Reconstruction better. Drug policy reconstruction for almost a decade. And the way that I got involved with drug policy is through my white privilege. In high school, I was always in a position of leadership. I was sophomore class president. Senior year, I was ASB vice president. I ran the morning and afternoon announcements, and I liked to party. And the administration knew that. And my senior year, I was smoking some cannabis. I went on a lunchtime drive with my friends. I was followed by the police. And when I came back to the school, I was pulled aside by a cop and the school monitor who said, "Sam, we have reason to believe that you are intoxicated on campus. Will you submit to a drug sobriety test?" And I was an idiot. I didn't know my rights. I hadn't been introduced to the full breadth of the ACLU yet, so I submitted to it. I passed everything but counting backwards from 60 with my eyes closed because apparently my eyes dilated. Counted perfectly. Anyways, long story short, they gave me an ultimatum. Either you get the hell out of this high school right now and you don't walk with your class, which I said, great, get me out of here. I'm going to college anyways. Or go to a 2-hour drug and alcohol counseling class because we think you have a problem. So I said, okay, I'll go to the counseling class. So 2 hours into this drug and alcohol counseling class, admitting to the drugs I had taken, the fact that I was going to college, that I actually wasn't a terrible human being because I enjoyed to smoke cannabis every once in a while. The counselor looked up at me and smiled. He said, "Sam, I'm really sorry you had to come here today because there's nothing wrong with you." And at that point, I didn't realize it, but I went to college. I went down to the University of Oregon, and I discovered a group called Students for Sensible Drug Policy. Some of you know. For those who don't, Students for Sensible Drug Policy is a global nonprofit organization run by students who care about reforming our very outdated drug laws. They believe that they neither condone nor condemn drug use, but they realize that we all, each and every one of us, has the ability to put what we want in our bodies. And so long as we are not harming other people, we should be allowed to do that. Through SSDP, I met a lot of the activists you see here today. I got involved with Measure 74. Who remembers Measure 74? Rest in peace. Also, shout out to both gyms. I got involved as a college outreach coordinator with Measure 74. From there, throughout college, I was involved in various drug policy reform efforts. Shortly after I graduated, I got involved with legislative lobbying. People kept asking me, "Are you going to go to law school?" I said, "Well, do I have to write laws?" And the answer was no. You don't have to go to law school to write laws. No offense, attorneys. I'm no attorney, trust me. But you don't have to go to law school to write laws. You don't have to have a specific education to make change. You just have to have a fire and a passion to do it. And when I realized after joining SSDP how lucky I was as a white male who got off and still got to go to college, who did not get my financial aid taken away from me because I smoked cannabis, I realized that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I wanted to fight for drug policy reform because I got lucky, because I was white, because I came from a rural town, you know? So that's my background. And from there, after Measure 80, unfortunately, had failed, it had unlimited possession, unlimited growing, which was great. 47% of Oregonians voted for that. That's how we knew we were going to get legalization the next round. Before that happened, I was involved with co-authoring the law that legalized medical marijuana dispensaries. From there, Measure 91 and Anthony Johnson, who I do not believe is here yet, but the Measure 91 crew came through, and 56% of Oregonians said, yes, it's fucking time to legalize marijuana. And we did. So what am I working on now? Social consumption. Who wants to be able to go to a cannabis lounge inside sometime, right? Hey, so is there anyone here not from Portland that's visiting, touring around? Raise your hand, give us a clap. Yeah? Visiting? Are you allowed to smoke in the place that you're staying right now? Do you have any idea where you could legally consume cannabis? Legally. Not in public, not here, right? Probably not, right? So that's the big issue that I'm working on now. There are plenty of other issues in the industry right now that a lot of more qualified people are working on. But last regular legislative session, I drafted and introduced Senate Bill 307, which was a very simple bill to legalize cannabis lounges. The idea was that localities could decide to opt in if they chose to, like the city of Portland has expressed they have interest in this, but we have to amend the Indoor Clean Air Act because the Indoor Clean Air Act says we can't smoke cannabis indoors. Now, the defenders of the Indoor Clean Air Act are public health. And as often of reasonable and smart people that they are, still are not quite on board with social consumption. So that's what we're working on this legislative session. We are going to legalize cannabis lounges. We are going to legalize special events. And we are going to allow temporary sales and samples of cannabis at events just like this. But wait, we can't do it without you. All right, if you are a resident here in Oregon, that means that you are represented by someone in the state legislature, whether it be in the House or the Senate. You have several representatives. When the time comes, and you'll know when it is, because we're going to be loud and proud about the fact that we're doing this session, we're going to need you to contact those representatives and let them know why it's so important that we have safe legal access for consuming cannabis here in Oregon. One, there are plenty of people who don't own their homes, right? People who live in Section 8 housing. The federal government's not going to let you smoke indoors, right? This is also means it disproportionately affects people who do not have homes, right? We saw in Seattle and Denver over the last couple of years, even though they legalized cannabis, there are still disproportional arrest rates of people of color for citations, etc. This is not over yet. We are not done. And we need your help to get across this finish line so we can help other states get to where we are now, so we can make sure that no one ever goes to jail again for cannabis. I'm Sam Chapman. Thanks for coming out. Enjoy this great weekend.